Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast by Closers.io where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and the businesses they work with. I'm your host, Jeb Boardman, and in each episode, we'll uncover the stories behind successful startups, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future expansion. Today, we're excited to have Angela Hill, an area managing partner for Chief Outsiders, joining us. Angela will be sharing more about her story, her insights into business growth, and just overall ideologies with businesses. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Angela, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
We're excited to have you here. So, Angela, you've done a lot over your career, right? You've owned businesses, you're now a managing partner, you've got a lot of things you've done. Take us back to the beginning of your journey and what led you to be in the position you're in today.
Sure. So I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, and I went to school at Washington University in St. Louis. From there, I worked at big brands, big agencies in St. Louis, San Francisco, and San Diego. So when I was in St. Louis, the brands I worked with were Hallmark, Mars, Energizer, Williams Sonoma, Ford, Anheuser-Busch. Then I moved to San Francisco in the mid 90s and I worked with Visa, Sun Microsystems, Maersk, Merrill Lynch, PG&E. Then I moved to San Diego in 98. I worked for a big agency in town. I did all the Intel product launches for a year and a half. I worked on Pepsi, Sega, Jabra, Foster Farms, Qualcomm, and Vitrogen. Then I worked for a biotech specific agency and I did work for Arena, Acadia, Macropore, Cryopore. And then I started my own branding agency where I did the branding and marketing strategy for clients. And I had a team of designers and creatives. We did print design, web design, and digital marketing. I had that agency for about 20 years. Then I sold it in 2023. And I had been working with clients as a fractional CMO for the past 7 years or so. So joining Chief Outsiders was a natural next step for me. And now, as an area managing partner, I am working with clients as a fractional chief marketing officer where I embed within their teams to help redefine their marketing and sales strategy.
Mm. Well, you've done a lot, right? It's an incredible journey. You've gone through a lot. Can you walk us through kind of how marketing for you has evolved from when you started to where you're at now?
Marketing has changed a lot. That's crazy. When I first started doing marketing, it was more the traditional marketing where you'd have a marketing strategy. Yes, you'd have your ideal client profile with your customer archetypes. Yes, you want to differentiate from your competition. And the focus was on gaining market share. But back then it was through traditional methods like print ads or direct mail or catalogs, or you had annual reports, you had multi-page physical brochures. And then what started happening is, probably about 20 plus years ago, businesses started having websites.
Mm-hmm.
The internet started being more involved in how we did business. And so people transitioned from having a lot of physically printed marketing materials that were mailed or personally distributed into digital assets. And so then we had SEO and PPC and email marketing, and then social media and video. And now where we are, the biggest change is AI in terms of how does it change the way we identify, message, and market to both clients and prospects.
So a lot of evolution.
It's crazy. I mean, when I first started, we did work on an Apple IIc, and the monitor was this big, and it wasn't even in color, right?
Right.
So to go from working on this big of a monitor, where I would do, like, I designed a 120-page book in a monitor this size.
Jeez.
Now, my current setup, I have 3 huge monitors at my desk. with lighting and speakers and microphones. I mean, the way technology has evolved is just
Right. It's
crazy,
incredible. Incredible.
amazing.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I mean, talking about your journey, right? A lot of people, especially going through as many, different positions you have, get to a point where they kind of like feel like they want to give up. You started a company, you sold the company, you've done a lot. Did you have a moment where you felt like you did want to give up, and how did you push through it?
There are times in every relationship, whether it's a personal or a professional relationship, whether you have your own company or you work for someone else, where you start to second guess yourself and you wonder, is this my highest and best purpose? Am I doing what I am best equipped to do? Am I having the impact that I want on the world and on my clients? And the only way I have been able to reinvigorate myself is by constantly challenging myself to learn new things. And so that's where I see AI and also being part of Chief Outsiders, where there's 120 other CMOs and chief sales officers, CSOs, and we are constantly learning and teaching each other things. And by constantly learning, it keeps my brain engaged and it helps me to stay motivated. But if I was just doing the same thing over and over, I would go crazy
Yeah.
as I would
That's-
be so bored.
Yeah, it's a great point. Always learning is huge. So, I mean, in your industry, is there a misconception that people often have about what you do or your industry in general that you'd like to address?
The biggest challenge that I see, unfortunately, is that there are a lot of marketing strategists and marketing agencies that tell clients what they want to hear
Mhm.
instead of telling them the truth. And I feel that it is my responsibility, my fiduciary responsibility, to advocate for the client and their strategy and their business objectives and their budget as if it was my business. So if I'm making a recommendation, is it in the best interest of the company? And will it produce the profitable revenue result that is tied to their strategic business objectives? And the problem that I run into all the time is that there are a lot of people who tell a CEO what they want to hear, not necessarily the truth and the reality of what's possible.
Right. Right. That makes a lot of sense. Well, can you walk us through how you operate inside the business currently? Like, what is it you do? What somebody would come to you to get help with?
How do I operate within my client businesses? Or
Within within Chief Outsiders. Like, what is it you do for Chief Outsiders, and what somebody would come to you to get help with?
sure. So I am an area managing partner for Chief Outsiders. And what that means is that 50% of my time I work with clients as a fractional CMO or CSO that I embed within their company as a member of the C-suite to help them accomplish their marketing and sales objectives.
Mm.
And 50% of my time is doing business development and sales for Chief Outsiders. And what that means is that in essence, I am a matchmaker. So I will talk to prospective clients. I'll figure out what their specific business challenges are, what's going on in their industry, where do they want to go or grow. And then I
Mhm.
will match them with another CMO at my organization who is the right fit in terms of skills and experience.
Got it. Got it. And is there a bottleneck that you see kind of industry-wide as you're working with your clients that's keeping most people from growing right now?
The biggest thing that's keeping people from growing right now is fear regarding economic uncertainty and changing tariff policies.
Mm.
And so, what I am seeing is that in essence, it's almost like when we first started going into COVID, it
Mm.
is the unknown that makes people uncomfortable and they feel very vulnerable. And
Right.
as a result, I see paralysis by overanalysis and people are stuck.
Right.
And there's no defined future date of when we will have our new normal. And therefore, a lot of CEOs say, well, I think I'm going to do what I was doing before, even though I was unhappy with the results that I got before. I don't want to change because I'm scared or I'm uncomfortable.
Right. Kind of like the devil type of
Yep. The
idea.
devil you know versus the one you don't.
Yep.
Even though you're drowning and I have a lifesaver and I've thrown it out to you and I have the rope and I can pull you in
Mm-hmm.
because there are so many other people that may have lied to them and said they had a solution.
Right.
They don't have the ability to tell the difference between someone who's a trustworthy and ethical operator versus someone who isn't.
Not. Right. Right. Got it. Well, for you, I mean, with seeing as much as you have, what is your top priority for growing, your own book of business, if you will, or even just like your own skill set in the next, 6 to 12 months?
So, Chief Outsiders actually acquired an AI software company about a year ago, and I have been part of the AI Tiger team within my organization, whereby it's a small subset of CMOs that are learning about AI and teaching it to the other CMOs. And I'm also on the Growth Impact Council, working with the developers on UX, UI, and functionality for the AI software that we're building for ourselves internally as an internal tool. And the goal of this enterprise AI software is that we want to pool together the collective knowledge of the decades of experience of all the CMOs,
Mhm.
enrich our own personal AI to then help all of the other CMOs, do competitive research or build out better buyer personas or, you know, analyze a strategy that we put together and poke holes in it and give us insight into how it could be better.
Right. Very cool. So a lot of AI integration kind of moving forward in that technology.
Yep.
Very cool. Well, if you had unlimited resources, what would you implement or change immediately to like accelerate that growth?
At Chief Outsiders.
Yeah, with building out the AI system you're working on, your position with them.
Well, I think we have all of the right people in the right places. So if I had unlimited resources, I would just pour more money and more energy and more support into the existing people and infrastructure that we have so that we
Got it.
can just move faster.
So a speed play.
Speed. Mhm.
Very cool. Okay, cool. Well, I know you just touched on AI and evolution. Do you see your industry evolving in any other ways in the coming years? And are you positioning yourself differently to be ahead of that curve?
Well, it does tie into AI in that historically we've been looking at LLMs and then we've been looking at agents. But I went to an AI conference last week and they were talking about the future of AI factories, which are comprised of AI agents. And I
Mhm.
think technology is great and it is important and useful and vital. Taking a step back to have the human in the loop, to have that strategic advisor that says, this is what we're trying to accomplish. This is the enrichment that I provide based on decades of experience. Let's plug that into, in addition, all the stuff that we're doing AI so that we get an even better result. Because what's happening is there's a misunderstanding that AI can replace people. And the reality is AI can enhance the talent that you have, but it can't replace the talent that you have because the talent that you have has experience and insight from interacting in real time environments that the AI cannot understand unless you provide that context.
Right, right. Do you ever see a world where the AI has all that context from enough people working with it?
No,
So I know it's a
you'll
loaded question.
always need a human that is part of the process.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
that part will change, but I think you will always need a human as part of the process so that it gets better and better and better and better.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you on that point. Okay, well, I kind of want to jump over to some, we call the lightning round, but a few questions to like really leave a mark on the listeners.
Sure.
over your time throughout your career, is there one tool or resource that's been a game changer for you? And it could be AI. If you want to choose AI, that's totally fair answer. Is there any tool or resource you feel like has been a game changer?
I'm a really big fan of HubSpot.
Okay.
So I started working with HubSpot in 2008. I've seen it evolve a lot over the years. And I love that there's a marketing automation component that's connected with the sales CRM, and you can plug in other tools into it. And then you can exponentially improve the results that you get from your business development, your sales, and your marketing.
Got it. So HubSpot, that's the one that you love.
That's the one I couldn't live without.
I like it. Cool. All right, second one here. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received about scaling or working with businesses?
So this isn't going to be what you think it is, but one of my clients once told me a failure to plan on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine.
That's a great quote. I actually had my seventh grade social studies teacher tell me that once. It's stuck.
And so I take that with a grain of salt, but I also reverse engineer it. So how can I be proactive to prevent emergencies?
Mm, I like that. I like that one step further.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, last one here for you. What advice would you give to somebody who is just starting their journey into starting a business?
I would say be really clear about what you want your life to look like. So, in terms of professional and personal vision, if you can map out, let's just say 3 years or 5 years from now, this is the kind of work I want to do. This is the kind of impact I want to have.
Mhm.
This is how much money I want to make personally. This is how many hours I want to work per week. If you start with that as your formula when you're starting your business, and then you go back and you do, let's say, the hedgehog exercise. What am I good at? What am I passionate about? What do I know how to do that makes me money and how they all intersect?
Mm-hmm.
Then tie that into what your hourly rate needs to be and what product or service can you sell for how much. You plug in your profitability. And then from there, you can reverse engineer how you design your business based on what you want your life to look like.
Got it. So really starting with the end in mind is kind of the biggest thing.
Absolutely. Because if you know this is what I want my life to look like, you can always reverse engineer. And the same with your business. If you know this is where I want to be in terms of revenue or in terms of market share or in terms of reach, in terms of the products and services I want to offer, and you go backwards, that's your plan for how you get there.
Got it. Great piece of advice. Love that. Just for the sake of time, Angela, we're going to use that as our wrap-up question here. Is there any other final piece of advice you want to give to the listeners as we wrap up?
I guess my final advice would be don't be afraid to ask questions. Nobody knows everything. And
Mm,
it is okay not to know everything. In this day and age, there are so many wonderful people out there that want to help you succeed, that are willing to mentor you, that are willing to provide guidance. So just ask. If you don't ask, the question's no. The answer is no, right?
yeah,
If you don't ask, the answer is no. But if you do ask, the answer might be yes, and there might be someone who's willing to help you.
deep. I love that. I love that. Well, Angela, it's been great having you on. Really appreciate you jumping on and sharing your advice with us. So thank you for coming.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
It's been great. And that wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. You can also find more resources and insights at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their sales and marketing efforts through world-class systems and playbooks. Until then, keep climbing, and we'll see you on the next one.